Hi, welcome back to Christy's Book Corner. I'm your host, Christy Mason, and we're going to be continuing with The Adventures of Connecticut's Journey to Grand Central Station. It's written by Christy Mason and Chili Awad, and we are going to be reading Chapter 4 today, and it's called Connecticut Inspires the Reeses. Connecticut woke up early, anxious about his first day at Yorkdale High School. He was glad that Jordan and Christopher would be able to show him around. He jumped out of bed and dressed in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. He sat on the end of the bed and tied his running shoes. He could hear Mom Reese in the kitchen talking to the twins. Connecticut walked into the kitchen and sat at the table with Christopher and Jordan. He poured himself a glass of milk. Mom Reese filled his plate with a stack of pancakes. The boys passed the pancake syrup around the table. "You ready for school today?" Jordan asked with a mouthful of pancakes. "Well, yeah, I feel pretty confident," Connecticut answered. "I'm going to combine my confidence with doing the best that I can." "What time are we leaving?" "As soon as we're done eating," Jordan replied. "We wanted to take you a little earlier to show you around." "Cool," Connecticut answered as he took another bite. The boys said goodbye to Mom Reese and left the apartment. Connecticut was relieved that the school was nearby. They walked into the school and the twins showed Connecticut around before they took him to the office. A short lady in the office welcomed him and handed him a schedule. She informed him of his homeroom class and pointed to it down the hall. Connecticut walked into the classroom. It was already filled with students, and he wasn't sure where to sit. "Good morning." "Yeah," his teacher, Mrs. Drabus, said as she motioned for Connecticut to come over to her desk. "Class, we have a new student joining us today. Let's make Connecticut feel as welcome as we can. Connecticut, please take a seat in the fourth row. You'll see the empty seat about halfway down the aisle." Connecticut took his seat and scanned the room. Rats, he thought to himself. There was no sign of Kate, because he knew it. The bell rang, and he was off to another class. A couple of kids asked him to follow them. Connecticut did, and it wasn't long before he became very good friends with Aaron and his twin sister, Jade. He thought there must have been a lot of twins in New York. The Twin Towers! Oh my god! Twin Towers used to be in New York before 9/11. He soon found it easy to get around and to make new friends. The other kids thought he had a really cool name, but the following week, Connecticut had become very popular at school. After working at the station the following week, Connecticut called Kate to meet him at the big clock by the information booth at 4:30. Connecticut waited for Kate and greeted all of the people as they walked by. He'd only been there just over a week, and he already knew many of the workers and commuters by name. Once Kate arrived, they went downstairs to one of the lower level restaurants and ordered 2 Cokes. They began talking about other things of interesting topics. And Kate told Connecticut she had studied the history of Grand Central. Connecticut listened closely to her, absorbing every word. Their Cokes had arrived, and they continued talking. "Do you like salad?" Connecticut asked. "Yes, but not all the time. I don't like tomatoes." "Me neither," Connecticut replied. "I only eat tomatoes sometimes, because I know they are good for you, but I don't really like them that much." Alright, sorry about that. I didn't want you to see me itch my nose. I took driver's ed in Hartford. and I think it would be cool if I got my driver's license. Connecticut continued. I'd like to drive around New York City, New York. I drive around to see all the cool places here. And how cool would it be to go to Times Square on New Year's Eve to see the giant ball drop? There was a foreshadow there. Driving here isn't easy, Kate answered. I mean, I think it's great if you get your license, but it's hard to drive because there are so many people in cars. They slipped on their coats and talked about anything that jumped into their minds. An hour later, Connecticut walked Kate over to her bus. Before she boarded, he hugged her and whispered goodbye into her ear. Kate gave him a quick kiss on the cheek and boarded the bus. She waved at Connecticut through the window. Once she was out of sight, Connecticut made his way back to the special apartment he shared with Therese's. Ugh. Sorry, I just sneezed. No, it's not. Surprisingly, nobody was home, even though it was close to dinner time. Connecticut wondered where everyone was. He went into his bedroom and turned on his radio. He spiraled out across his bed and began to daydream. Okay, sorry. Soon it would be June, and he would be graduating from grade 11. Grade 11, that doesn't seem right. Didn't they graduate in grade 12? And they're 18. Maybe. Anyway. Okay. Suddenly there was a knock on his bedroom door. He jumped in fright as he hadn't heard anyone come into the apartment. Christopher and Jordan poked their heads into his bedroom. What you doing? Jordan asked. How was work? Did you sing New York, New York? Kate was the only one who truly understood exactly why he sang that song. Work was fun today. I sang New York, New York twice. Right now, I'm just hanging out, Connecticut replied. Where were you? We stopped at a store or on our way home from school. Mom met us there. Christopher piped up. We knew you were working, and we thought we'd be home before you were. I'm thinking about getting a new bike. The traffic was brutal. Cool, Connecticut said. I met Kate after work, so I just got home too. Christopher and Jordan came into the room and looked forward to seeing them after school. Since Connecticut had started school, Christopher and Jordan were anxious to get home because they liked hanging out with him. Before Connecticut came to live with them, Christopher and Jordan were both bored to death. They could never find anything to do. Connecticut changed that. He always knew how to turn a dull day into fun. He knew so many cool games and magic tricks. One day he showed them how to do a magic trick with a dollar bill. Connecticut pulled a crumpled dollar bill out of his jeans pocket. He smoothed it out and held it up to the twins' face. Next he folded the dollar bill in half. Then into thirds he folded the bill and held it up. The twins were surprised to see George Washington's face upside down on the front of the bill. How did you do that? Christopher and Jordan asked at the same time. It's easy. I'll show you how. But it's probably take some practice before you can do it. It's a bit tricky the way you fold the bill. Connecticut practiced with them until they could do the dollar bill trick. Each do the dollar bill trick. Sometimes they'd play their games and magic tricks in the station, and other times in the apartment. Connecticut also taught them that if you want to accomplish something, you always have to try your best. And that is today's quote of the day. And you had to combine trying your best with having lots of confidence. It wasn't long before Jordan and Christopher thought it was really cool to have a brother like Connecticut. It was Mom Maurice who came to learn just how special Connecticut really was. She learned that he could look deeply into the souls of people, whether he knew them or not, and he'd be able to see if their lives were perfect. She asked him about it one day. Deep down, I know that nobody has a perfect life, Connecticut answered, but you just never know. Maybe someone does, and if they do, I think I'd be able to spot them. Eventually, all of the Reeses came to appreciate how special Connecticut was. Everyone loved his personality and his way with words. They learned that he could inspire people's lives with freedom and with good heart and kindness. Mom Reese told him that even though he'd only been there a week, he seemed to have brought peace to several people in Grand Central. Mom Reese called the boys for dinner. Connecticut continued talking to the Reeses at the dinner table. Hey! He told them that his two favorite movies were Narnia, Prince Caspian, and Twister. Those are actually movies that I like. He explained that Narnia was about 4 kids who discovered a magical place with weird creatures, and Twister was about storm chasers gathering information on an F5 tornado. I also like movies about war and fighting stuff. Connecticut, I think it's interesting that you have a great interest in movies that have a war or fighting theme. It could be because you had to face your own battles against the gang members who killed your parents, Mom Reese replied. Mom Reese, if there were never any wars, there wouldn't be any peace. So in order to have peace, we must have war, Connecticut explained. Almost done. 2 more pages. Okay, I'm just taking the time. Mom Maurice could only look at him in wonder. Connecticut, how can a young man like you be so smart? She asked, shaking her head from side to side. I really miss my mom and dad, Connecticut said, but I try not to think of the past. Instead, I want to concentrate on the great future that I am expecting. His smile lit up your entire face like Times Square. Do you know how I know I'm going to have a great future? Connecticut asked Jordan. No, tell me, Jordan answered. His eyes popped out of his head. Because it feels like my parents are angels who are guiding me with their light. And they told me that the light is also part of God's light, and that He is guiding us all to the happiness too. They told me to trust that God will keep me safe from the gang members in my past, and that they can't hurt me or your family. There's nothing safer than living in this big station. Wow, Christopher said. That's awesome. They were chattering back and forth, their forks clicking against their dinner plates. Mom Maurice wondered if this was a good time to tell Connecticut that she knew his parents. She wanted to wait until he had settled into his new life. She didn't want to wait too long, either, because she thought he would want to know the truth. Connecticut, there is something I want to tell you, Mom Maurice said gently, as she looked across the table at Connecticut and placed her fork down. I'm not sure how to tell you this, but I want you to know the truth. Connecticut's heart stopped. He put his fork down, worried he was about to hear bad news. Is there something wrong? He asked. Oh no, Connecticut, there's nothing wrong. It's just that I knew your mother and... What? Connecticut interrupted. He was totally confused. Let me explain. Your mother was a good friend of mine. We grew up on the same street, and were great friends in school. Your mother went on to college and moved away, and I married Dad Reese. I didn't see her too much after that, and when she became the governor of Connecticut, she was too busy to see us. But we did keep in touch regularly. When she was pregnant with you, she made me promise that I would take care of you if anything were to happen to her and your father. Of course, I told her I would. Dad Reese and I experienced some financial difficulties, and we moved into Grand Central. I read about your parents' death in the newspaper. I tried to contact your grandmother, but she had gone into hiding, and because we had moved into the station, your grandmother didn't know how to find us. We never stopped looking for you. It took us 17 years to find you. Connecticut was stunned, and it reminds me of a line in Pirates of the Caribbean. I'll tell you at the end of the video. And a huge lump formed in his throat. You really knew my mom? He asked quietly with his brushy eyebrows raised. He put his knife across his plate and choked back some tears. What was she like? Oh, Connecticut, Mom said softly. She was the best person ever. Because being really smart, she was very pretty too. She always knew the right thing to say at the right time. I think you have a lot of her traits, and I know she'd be proud of the fine man you have become. Did you know my dad too? I only met your father once, and I know your mother adored him, Mom Maurice answered. Connecticut felt better and smiled. He thought it was sad that it took 17 years for the Reeses to find him. But they did, and they knew his mom and his dad. This news made him happy. Once supper was finished, Connecticut announced that he'd had surprise news too. I have to leave for a while. I'm going to take a test for my driver's license. That's great, Dad Reese blurted out. Do you need a ride? Are you sure you're ready to take the test? No, I don't need a ride. I've decided to walk to the bureau. I know it's not far. I'm sure I'll pass. I took driver's ed when I lived in Hartford. We'll have our fingers crossed, Mom Maurice added as she held her crossed fingers. Good luck, Christopher piped up. Getting your license is cool. Yeah, good luck and hurry back, Jordan asked as he rose from the table and put his plate in the kitchen sink. I'll be back as soon as I can, Connecticut replied as he grabbed his jacket and walked out the door. He walked out of Grand Central and onto the street. He kept looking over his shoulder, making sure that no one was following Hood. He didn't like to leave the station alone. He knew he had to. He could have accepted Dad Reese's offer, but he wanted to do this on his own. He walked nervously toward the bureau, even though he was confident that he would pass the test. He quickly found there was no reason to worry. Nothing happened as he walked to the bureau, and the driver's test went smoothly for him, as he had expected. He passed with flying colors. He was very proud when he returned to his apartment a short time later. Hello, everyone, Connecticut cried out cheerily as he walked through the door. Did you pass? Mom Maurice asked as she held up her crossed fingers. I passed, Connecticut shouted out. That's great, Dad Reese said as he got up and shook Connecticut's hand. The twins smacked Connecticut affectionately on the back. This calls for a celebration, Mom Maurice exclaimed as she went into the kitchen. She came back with a chocolate cake that said, Congratulations, Connecticut, in big white letters. Connecticut was surprised. How did you get that cake so fast? Easy, Mom Maurice replied. As soon as you left, I went downstairs to the bakery and ordered it. I was certain you would pass your test, and we wanted to make this a special day for you. Thank you so much, Connecticut said as he hugged Mom Maurice. And thanks for telling me about my parents, too. Mom Maurice cut the cake and they watched television for a while. Shortly after, Connecticut excused himself and went to bed. It had been another exhausting day. And that's the end of chapter 4. Now, before I sign off, I want to tell you about it took 17 years to find him. That reminded me about a line in Pirates of the Caribbean 3 when Captain Barbossa said it took 9 pirate lords to find you, Calypso. That's what it reminded me of. I don't know why. It's just... And I think I wrote this No. I wasn't paying attention then. I wrote this after or before that. So, anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, comment, like, and remember to stay tuned. Tomorrow is going to be chapter 5. And remember, I keep saying remember. Remember to remember. No, remember to dare to dream. See you guys. Bye.